Thank you, Jim. So, the theme of today's talk is empathy, the empath, and MLK. And one of our very own Arthur Smith will be giving this talk. So let me tell you a little about Arthur. He's a humanoid, alien, black android. He's an artist. He studied fine art at Columbus College of Art and Design in Columbus, Ohio. He's a percussionist, a DJ, promoter of a yearly music and arts festival called Interconnection. He's a single father of two magnificent daughters, Allison and Athena, and is a very proud member of the U2C3 church and band, at least for the last decade. And he's also active in the ACT program. I bring you Arthur Smith. Yay!
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. This is a wonderful day. I'm very excited to speak to you all today. The title that I actually wanted to go with this sermon today was actually Empathy, the Empath, MLK, Me, and the Second UU Principle. But I could tell with the look on Tess Cherry's face that if I had added another word to my title, I might not walk out of that office alive that day. Also, my 14-year-old daughter, Allison, has already spoken on this podium twice in the last 2 years or so. It's been about 5 years since my last talk on the importance of dance, so I figured I might at least try to keep up with her a bit. Good luck with that, right? So I would like to talk to you today about one of my most favorite words, empathy. The word empathy comes from the German aesthetic term Einfühlung, which means feeling into, also from the Greek word empathia, em meaning in, and pathos meaning feeling. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It involves being able to see things from another person's perspective and imagine what they might be thinking or feeling. Empathy is important for building successful relationships, helping others, and showing compassion. It can also be critical in healthcare where empathy can really improve patients' satisfaction and treatment compliance. Empathy is somewhat different from sympathy. Let me get this ready. Sympathy is more about feeling pity for someone else. There are three practical parts to empathy. Affective empathy, which is the feelings we experience in response to others' emotions. Cognitive empathy, which is the ability to understand other people's emotions intellectually. And compassionate empathy, the need to react and provide help in any way you can. I feel the three parts and experience of empathy closely align with our second principle of Unitarian Universalism, which is justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. That's correct, isn't it? Okay, because you said something earlier today about, and I was just like, I hope I got that right. The second principle seems to be almost taken directly from the three parts of empathy. Empathy seems to be rooted in the brain and body, and some aspects of empathy may be linked to mirror neurons. Some people who are highly empathic include first responders, humanitarian aid workers, doctors, therapists, and journalists. Also revolutionary leaders of peace and justice such as Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and of course, Dr. King, who I will be focusing on later today, especially due to his recognition coming up on Monday, January 20th, Martin Luther King's Day. Side note, Dr. King was actually born on January 15th, which just so happens to be the very same day I was born, so I've always shared a personal connection with him beyond his incredible inspiration on me. Which brings me to the empath. We are all empaths, according to author and researcher Karen McLaren, who is an award-winning author, social science researcher, workplace consultant, emotions and empathy expert. Which I very much agree with her that we are all empaths. She states that the word empath and concept first appeared in a 1956 science fiction novel called The Empath by Scottish author J.T. McIntosh, which Django has informed me of a Star Trek episode, I think, inspired by this book. McIntosh was making and that was the original Star Trek, by the way. McIntosh was making a play on the word telepath. His empath was a person who could read emotions in the way fictional telepaths could read thoughts. The Marvel comic, The X-Men, had a character called the Empath in 1980s. After that, the empath Deanna Troi appeared in Star Trek The Next Generation in 1987. So the entire concept came from science fiction and then moved into the New Age community. Karen McLaren says, empathy is a natural human ability, but it looks magical because most of us are educated out of our empathic skills at a very early age. We're taught to ignore our emotions and focus on what people say rather than what they mean. We're taught that the emotions are the opposite of rationality, therefore our emotions go unheeded, dishonored, and unheard. Though the idea of magical psychic powers is exciting, the skill empathy isn't magical or otherworldly. An empath is simply a person who reads emotions and nonverbal information. If a person is a hyper empath, they are usually hypersensitive to emotions and social cues and the social atmosphere around them. Hyper empathic people also usually are usually hypersensitive in other ways as well. Empathy is a human trait and skill, but it's also a trait in other animal species as well. I think it's not working now. Can you click the next slide? There we go. Okay. Elephants are known to recognize and respond to other elephants' pain and sadness. Dolphins are known to help others, including other species, and show a range of emotions, including grief, joy, and of course, empathy. A few other animals known to express empathy are dogs, chimpanzees, even mice and rats. There's also some really fascinating footage of an octopus I saw on YouTube slinging rocks really hard at other fish on the bottom of the ocean, which is probably not a sign of empathy, but it's hilarious, and you should check that out if you haven't seen that. It's incredible. That's probably why octopuses are my favorite animals on the planet. Kara goes on to say that there's nothing necessarily magical about empathy. She states that we are all empaths because we're all members of a highly social and empathic species. That makes a lot of sense to me. Next slide, please. Which brings me back to Martin Luther King Jr. His birth name was Michael Luther King Jr. He was born on January 15th, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, to Alberta King, a school teacher, and Michael Luther King Sr., a Baptist minister. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist minister and one of the most prominent leaders of the American Civil Rights Movement, along with the help of some other very important people as well. Slide, please. Including Coretta Scott King, who wrote several books, including memoirs, articles, and a column. She was involved in the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and established the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change, and of course, she was married to Dr. King. Rosa Parks, one of the most influential activists to first risk her life and take a stand, rather seat, in the front row of a bus, which led to the notorious Montgomery bus boycott, which she helped lead and organize. Parks also received many honors, including the Congressional Gold Medal and the Spingarn Medal, which is an award awarded annually by NAACP for an outstanding achievement by a black person. Slide, please. King believed that nonviolence was the only way to break the cycle of violence and create lasting peace. He believed that nonviolence could defeat injustice without humiliating people and that it could transform people through suffering. Slide, please. He developed 6 key principles to nonviolence. These are the principles right here. King believed in equality because he believed in God's commandment to love your neighbor as yourself. He believed that the aftermath of nonviolence would create what he called the beloved community. He was also a big advocate for labor rights and the working class. He led marches and held nonviolent protests for desegregation and the right for black people to vote, and he supported unions, which he believed were the strongest antidote to poverty. All things hyper-empathic and truly inspirational. Mournfully, he was assassinated on April 4th, 1968, while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. James Earl Ray, a fugitive from Missouri State Penitentiary, was later charged and convicted of the crime. Dr. King has had an incredible effect on me and my family. Slide, please. We do our best to instill his teachings in our everyday lives. We have stood up for women's rights, Black lives, LGBTQ+ lives, and plan to continue this fight, especially in these very trying times we all continue to live in and in the future to come. My family and I remain a proud safe space for the LGBTQ+ community, which we remain close to and keep very dear to our hearts. My whole life, I've always felt different because for me, the inherent worth of others has always meant so much to me. I've always been able to put myself in someone else's shoes, almost to the point I felt I had no shoes of my own sometimes. Slide, please. It is true, I feel like an alien at times, almost inhuman, psychologically programmed to disconnect from my ego in an unordinary fashion. My identity truly progressed to hyper-empathy throughout my college years. I learned to study, create, and react to my ego in an extraordinary, selfless, defensive manner. I began taking a thorough look at myself through art, through fine art, and the critiques of my professors and peers, inspiring in me a very rigorous study of fine art. With curious worldly imagination and ritualistic practice of dance and expression. Let me just say that again. With a curious worldly, hold on. There we go. With a curious worldly imagination and a ritualistic practice of dance and expression. It was there in my philosophy class with my wonderful professor, whose name sadly is lost to me, where I found an even truer sense of empathy to the likes I'd always known, but now became even more a part of my own life. Slide, please. This is one of my favorite paintings by Van Gogh. It's called The Potato Eaters. The Potato Eaters were a group of peasant farmers from the Dutch village of Nieuwenaar, where Van Gogh lived at the time. They were a local farming family he was familiar with, and the painting portrays them sharing a simple meal of potatoes, highlighting the harsh realities of their rural life and the labor they endured. Van Gogh particularly focused on their faces and their hands, very articulately depicting their rough and worn texture of skin from all their hard work. Van Gogh's mastery of art and technique was thoroughly expressed through his hyper-empathic awareness. A slide, please. I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories about Van Gogh you may not have known. At one point in his life, he was a preacher in training who wanted to be a Calvinist pastor like his father. He was a dedicated Christian who lived a life of self-sacrifice and service to the poor. Once he was assigned to the Bornage, a coal mining region in West Belgium. After his first sermon there, he noticed people were walking out mid-sermon. After he was done preaching, he approached some of these people waiting outside and asked them why they weren't interested in his sermon. And they simply told him, preachers come here all the time talking about salvation, but they never stay and understand what we are truly going through. Long story short, after that, Vincent lived among the miners and their families in the Bornage, sharing their poverty. He slept on the floor, gave away his possessions. His dedication was such that he was nicknamed the Christ of the coal mine. Vincent nevertheless failed to establish a close community of worshipers there, and his contract was not renewed. He was dismissed from his position and later became a famous artist. And this is a painting he did of the coal miners. Slide, please. So this brings me to 4 simple steps to practice empathy. Step 1, perspective taking. Empathy is all about putting yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to see things from their perspective. Step 2, stay out of judgment. Step 3, try to recognize the emotions someone else is feeling. And step 4, communicating is key. Let them know that you understand the emotions they're going through. And if you don't, let them know you hear, see, and love them. Pretty textbook stuff, but I feel very doable, practical, and may have staggering positive results if you just take the time. Not practicing these steps, and in fact practicing the opposite, can have very dire consequences. LGBTQ plus students who reported being bullied had 3 times greater odds of attempting suicide. Slide, please. And historic experiences of extreme apathy has had devastating results in the past. So yes, I've shed many a tear from watching almost any movie that evoked even the slightest emotion. Every time Thelma and Louise drive off that damn cliff, I'm a freaking mess. And unfortunately, I've very often over-contemplated the meaning of happiness juxtaposed to all the people who are unhappy in the world. It has caused severe depression for me at times, so I believe a healthy psychology is really important to a hyper-empath, especially to maintain balance. Slide, please. That's probably why raising children has been so beneficial, to helping me stay very focused as a father. I continue to live this journey with a species I feel will find a way to survive for better or for worse till infinity, no matter the construct. I'm talking about humanity, of course. May we love, prosper, and learn even better to bring love and prosperity to all we integrate with, and most importantly, to ourselves and to each other. We are always connected, and we are all empaths. Thank you.